As you can see, yes, we're just days away from Halloween, and your house may be decorated with bright orange carved pumpkins. But as you and your children go trick-or-treating this weekend, you may run across a blue pumpkin at the doorstep, or someone may be carrying a blue pumpkin bucket coming up to your doorstep. So what does that mean? Well, there is a grassroots movement to use a blue pumpkin to bring awareness to autism spectrum disorder. Here to talk more about that initiative is Harsh Sanghvi. He is the CEO of Action Behavior Center. That's an Austin-based provider of therapy for children on the autism spectrum. Thanks for joining us, Harsh.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, good morning to you. And so first of all, what is the Blue Pumpkin Initiative?
So the Blue Pumpkin Initiative was initiated by a mom who had a child on the autism spectrum in 2017. And really the intent of it, the inspiration behind it came from the teal pumpkin, where people started to think about ways to demonstrate that kids who have special needs. So the teal pumpkin was specifically for food allergies. And the idea of this mom was thinking about kids that are on the autism spectrum. How do you make sure that the community is aware of the special needs? And hence the idea of the Blue Pumpkin was born.
And Harsh, what are some of the challenges of a child who is on the spectrum who may be trick-or-treating?
So there are three specific issues that come to mind. The first one is many kids on the autism spectrum face issues with regards to sensory processing, or essentially just a sensory overload. Our Halloween is a fun atmosphere for families and kids. However, the bright lights, the costumes at times can provide what clinicians in the autism spectrum and community will call sensory overload. So that's the first thing to think through. The second piece is, as you think about activities that many of us would take for granted, such as trick or treat, which is just part of our culture, they can present certain situations around social skills and communications, both of which many folks on the autism spectrum struggle with. So those are the three things: sensory issues, social skills, and communications, that are specific things to think about as you think about dealing with kids that are maybe on the autism spectrum for Halloween.
And Harsh, finally, there's been a lot of online debate from people in the autism spectrum disorder community. Some say blue pumpkins are great for raising awareness, something you're doing, but others say that the premise that their children should even be labeled is not a good thing. So what's your take on that?
I agree with both of those. So our stance on this is anything that brings awareness and, more importantly, acceptance for autism is a good thing. At the same time, what you're hearing from many autism advocates is if kids get labeled in a certain way, that can tarnish the development of the child and could potentially really put a stigma on the whole thing. So with most things in life, it comes down to the intent. We are believers, and the mom that started this, we're believers in the movement, but we do want folks to be aware of the issues that can be caused if the blue pumpkin becomes a way to essentially discriminate or delineate folks that are on the autism spectrum, which would be against the whole purpose of autism acceptance.
Yeah, talking about something is always a good thing. Raising awareness is always a good thing. Harsh Sanghvi, CEO of Action Behavior Centers, we appreciate your time this morning, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Now, we want to mention other colored pumpkins you may see and what they mean. Teal pumpkins, like Harsh just mentioned, accommodates kids with food allergies. Putting a teal pumpkin on your doorstep means you have non-food treats available, like a small toy or a glow stick. And a newer initiative is purple pumpkins to raise awareness for epilepsy. The purple pumpkin helps start a conversation with your child about other children who may suffer from seizures.